All right, so originally I was gonna write this whole script and just try to make this video as fancy and as viewer friendly as possible. But you know what? This has been an issue that's been bothering me so deeply that I'm just gonna go ahead and just freestyle this video from the heart. So with that being said, let's go. Now, a lot of you already know that I traded my 2003 Mercury Marauder for a 2007 Dodge Magnum RT. Now, two things that bothered me that came off of that trade. The first being just the sheer amount of hate and criticism I got for doing such a trade. And the second one was just how quick I was to jump on that trade, and honestly, how little thought I even gave it. This bothered me deeply. How could it be? How could I let go of what many in the Panther community consider to be their dream car? So I dug deep and I came to realize that the Mercury Marauder isn't really all that it's hyped up to be. Now I can actually pinpoint the exact 2 moments when I realized the car really wasn't all that. And one of those moments literally was the first moment my ass sat on the chair of a Marauder. And the very Marauder that I was just about to spend $10,000 on. You see, the moment you take a seat in a Mercury Marauder, you're suddenly hit with an overwhelming realization that you're sitting in just a regular old Crown Victoria. Before everybody loses their collective shit, here's a clip showing you what I'm talking about. Essentially, in this clip, I'm comparing the interior of my 2003 Mercury Marauder to the interior of my 2002 Crown Victoria LX Sport, and you be the judge and tell me for yourself if you're not looking at literally the exact same car. So you guys can see for yourself that the Marauder is nothing more than a glorified Crown Victoria LX Sport. From essentially even the same door panels, the same damn floor shifter, hell, even the radio's the same. From the radio, this little phone holder gap thing here, it's actually interchangeable from this car to the Marauder. I'll show you guys. Keep an eye on this little phone gap here and check out the radio. Now we're in the Marauder. Look at that. Same radio. You guys remember that cup holder? The interchangeable phone holder, little cubby hole right there. Climate control inside a Marauder. Climate control inside an LX Sport. Steering wheel inside a Marauder. Steering wheel inside an LX Sport. Look familiar? Hell, exactly the same types of trunks. Not even the trunk arrangement is different. It's pretty much just a Crown Victoria. Here's the LX Sport. Here's the Marauder. They didn't even bother to change the layout like they did on some Lincoln Town cars. Those of you with a keen eye will notice that the Marauder also uses the same tail lights and the blacked out rear deck lid from the P71. You have no idea how underwhelming it is for you to finally step in one of the most overhyped, most mythical, most talked about Panther cars in history, only for you to realize you're essentially sitting in a heavier Crown Victoria. All right, so now let's talk about the second thing that started me on the Marauder D-hype train. And that all started the day that I decided to race my 2003 Mercury Marauder, aka Papa Smurf, against my then bone stock 2006 Crown Victoria P71 with, at the time, the only modification it had was a drop-in K&N filter and some serious weight reduction. And so for those of you who have yet to watch the actual video of that drag race, here's a little clip to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Stock for stock, Crown Victoria P71 versus Mercury Marauder. Let's find out. Now you could only imagine the utter disappointment I felt when my $1,500 P71 beat my $10,000 Mercury Marauder. Well, I can pretty much blame that loss to what essentially led me down a rabbit hole that caused me to trade the most legendary Panther car for a mid-2000s Dodge station wagon. When I found myself behind the wheel of my Marauder, there was really nothing that truly made it stand out. Most oftentimes when someone would approach me at a gas station or ask me about the car, almost all interactions began with, and I quote, "Hey, that's a nice looking Crown Vic you got there." Fact of the matter is, the 03 to 04 Mustang Mach 1 engines they put in the Marauders were severely underpowered, on average only making about 50 horsepower more than a stock P71. And the worst part is that the Marauder's 4-valve engine is actually heavier than the Vic's 2-valve, essentially making the Marauder heavier than a Crown Vic. So essentially, with some weight reduction, and it doesn't even have to be as extreme as in my case, it can literally be just some very basic weight reduction. Hell, even just taking out the passenger seat. Then throw in a 93 octane race tune from Marty at Moe's Speed Shop. Literally with just the most basic of modifications, you would have yourself essentially a Crown Victoria that can gap a Mercury Marauder every day of the week. If all of this hasn't convinced you yet that a Mercury Marauder is just an overhyped, underpowered Crown Vic LX Sport, last thing people hang on to is the looks. Now, 100% a Marauder is the best looking Panther car ever made. But that can easily be replaced, as you guys see right here. Got the rear bumper, got the front bumper, got the header panel and the headlights, and the grille is somewhere in there. So for anybody who hasn't clicked off the video yet in pure anger and disgust, if you take anything away from this video, it's that with a Marty tuned, weight reduced P71, not only will you be faster than a Marauder, but you can have the looks of one too. There's no doubt that the Mercury Marauder is the top of the line Panther car and definitely deserves to be a legend within the Panther community. But just keep all the things I talked about in this video in mind before you potentially buy one. And then suddenly get hit with the realization that you spend $10,000 plus on a heavier Crown Victoria LX Sport with some fancy fog lights. So let me know in the comment section down below for anybody who's owned the Marauder, for anybody who owns a Marauder. I tried it for myself and it just wasn't for me, guys. I couldn't justify it, especially after losing to a regular old P71. Now, I'm sure it's still a dream car for a lot of people, but sometimes when you finally obtain that one thing you sought after for the longest and you sit in it, you realize it wasn't all that it was hyped up to be. Either way, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.